Guy wants to order for the table, so I make sure he gets his wish. I worked as a server for a small brand new family-owned restaurant. The place was one step below a white tablecloth and had a bar on one side with the restaurant on the other. The owners were awesome and provided industry professionals to train us on how best to treat a customer and maximize our tips. As an example of how effective this training was, on opening day I dropped an entire tray of drinks down a woman's back, yet this family returned several more times and would only let me serve them. Owner brought them a parka the first time they returned. One technique we were taught was to establish who was paying from social cues and make sure they are happy. If a couple comes in and you believe the man is paying, make the woman feel like a queen. When it's time to pay, she'll likely encourage a higher tip. Incredibly effective. As I finish taking an order, I notice a family of 4 being sat in my section and stop by immediately to introduce myself. My assessment is this: husband and wife, very nicely dressed. Their beautiful early 20s daughter, my age, and what I gather is her boyfriend wearing a suit and tie. Dad is very clearly paying, but aspiring businessman here interrupts mom when she's ordering her drink to inform me he'll be ordering for the table. If looks could kill, the father would have taken out this young man and probably 10 people in the bar area. Oh, buddy, your night is not going to go the way you thought. Every time I returned to the table I would face him, only look at and talk to him, turning my back to the father. Daughter asked for something, I don't remember what, and without ever acknowledging her, I asked him, may she have that? He barely stammered out a yes. When I brought the bill, I set it right in front of him. They hung around for a while and I continued to check in and refill drinks while the bill remained untouched. I think Dad was making him sweat. Eventually, Dad grabs the bill and puts his card in. I brought back the receipt and thanked the young man for coming in and walked away. I was returning from another table when they were getting up from the table and the young guy moved to the door at a speed that made lightning look slow. The other 3 were all smiles and the dad looks across the dining room and mouthed, "Thank you." I gave him a smile and a nod and continued on my way. The tip amount is a number I don't remember, but I know it was good. Really good. It must have been a small wedding because I never received an invite. Edit, I am trying to keep up on replies, but I'm a bit overwhelmed at the moment. Thank you everybody for the kind words and awards. They have been fun to read. Strict compliance leads to a company screwing itself. TLDR. A company's management doesn't like me because I'm not politically correct and am too accurate predicting problems, so they reassign me and give others credit for my work. I turn a do-nothing assignment with the government customer into a way of helping them unravel the company's inaccurate status reporting and find the company's actual performance. The company gets hit hard with financial penalties, managers leave, and I get hired by the customer, which results in even more bad news for my old management team. This is a bit long. There are elements of revenge here, but since I didn't have to do anything, I don't think it fits into any of the revenge subreddits. I worked for a major government contractor for a government agency. If I named the agency or location, it'd be pretty obvious to people with long memories and an axe to grind. I'd risen up through the ranks because I have good technical knowledge and I have a knack for seeing a big picture view of big projects and seeing potential problems. I was very good at what I did. Many managers didn't like me because I pointed out problem areas, over 75% accuracy, and I stated facts without regard for management politics. I didn't suck up. Some managers gave Fair-Haired Boy, a suck-up, credit for my work, which I'd done before Fair-Haired Boy was even working on the project. Then they desperately needed my technical expertise on a very large procurement, 8 digits. I wrote most of the technical specifications, identifying risk areas and the consequences of bad procurement decisions. Fair-Haired Boy dismissed my arguments as no big deal and we can work around that, so management ignored me and ended up buying inadequate equipment. I was reassigned, again, and Fair-Haired Boy was given what should have been my job, with a promotion and big raise. My parting gift to the project managers was a detailed memo highlighting every technical problem that I foresaw in that development and how it could be avoided. It was a very long list of nearly 100 watch items, and they ended up hitting almost all of them. As usual, management ignored me. Due to company rules and a lot of prior excellent personnel performance reviews, management couldn't fire me immediately, but I could tell I was being set up for termination. I was assigned a job to work directly with the customer as liaison, actually sitting on the customer site. Management figured I'd be an irritant and distract the customer from the company's issues. In the meantime, I'd keep our company informed about what the customer was saying behind closed doors, and I was supposed to tell the customer what was management wanted me to say was happening in the company. Management intended it to be a do-nothing job to keep me out of sight, out of mind. I don't do nothing jobs. I took it seriously. But after a couple of months, management told me in no uncertain terms that I was not permitted to answer the customer's questions about what was going on inside the company on the project, and that I was not permitted to talk at internal company meetings where the customer's needs were being discussed. I was muzzled and set up for failure, or so they thought. Now comes the malicious compliance that ended up with revenge. When asked by the customer, instead of X or Y is happening, my responses were pretty much like, I am not permitted to tell you whether the project is significantly over budget, and, management won't let me tell you whether or not the company is dropping design requirements for features A and B. I explicitly complied with management's directive of not answering the customer's questions, but I slipped in enough hints in my non-answers that the customer knew where to look and what questions to ask. The customer also kept meeting minutes and often recordings which always reflected that I did not answer questions about the subject under discussion, which was technically the truth. This was very critical later. Eventually, management couldn't hide that the project was way late and way over budget, which didn't surprise the customer thanks to my hints. The customer ripped the company a new one in their periodic contract performance review. Note, on government contracts, it's very difficult to get a low performance score. Really difficult. The company got a very low performance score. It was ugly and the company lost a lot of contract bonuses which would have been a big part of profits and management bonuses. And fair-haired boy was under such stress trying to solve the problems that I'd warned him about that he had a major heart attack and retired for medical disability at the age of 42. It was a bad heart attack. Naturally, management wanted me to be the scapegoat so they'd get to fire me, but the customer liked how I worked, and they protected me with very careful language in the performance appraisals, basically, that the task I was doing was the only task in the company that was performing effectively and everything else stank to high heaven. Upper management didn't dare fire me or they'd anger the customer even more than they already had, possibly to the point of having the contract taken away for non-performance. One particularly nasty manager who really hated me had to give me a significant pay rise and bonus because of my work. The fallout from the review was bad enough that corporate headquarters did some management shuffling and a few of my antagonists were suddenly gone. The raise and promotion ended up not mattering because the customer hired me directly working on the same project but on the government side. This caused management to crap their pants because I knew all their dirty secrets and tricks. But I never ratted on any of the managers or company dirty laundry. I didn't have to. My new co-workers had previously figured out where to focus their attention and what questions to ask to get past the company's bullshit. I complied strictly with the terms of my separation from the company and gave away no secrets after I left the company. One of the best parts was that in meetings, all I had to do was put on an evil grin and the company managers would practically shit themselves, wondering if I was going to unearth one of their skeletons. I never did, I just liked watching them squirm. They got paranoid about being caught trying to lie to the government that they were admitting bad news up front. Because of bad performance, that management admitted, it got even worse for the company. They decided to try letting their legal hounds on me for violating company non-disclosure agreements, but the customer's meeting minutes proved that I hadn't. The contract was restructured to eliminate several blind spots the company had used to their advantage. The customer's oversight of the company rose significantly. Profit margins on the contract shrank. Several of management's favorite employees suddenly had resumes on the street because their protection was disappearing. Even more managers retired or found other jobs. It was glorious to watch. Doubly so because I let them do it to themselves. And I was extremely happy in my new job, where I still work.